Hey Maya, how's it going?
I'm good.
You,
Finally adapted to the time zone here. I don't know about you.
I'm
You
still
just
waking up so early.
yeah.
I landed. I've been here for like a week now. Yeah, exactly a week. And I literally every morning at 6:45, I'm like awake.
Yeah. I honestly like I like waking up early because I just feel like my day's so much longer because if you go to bed early, it's
It's
already
true.
nighttime. But yeah, when I first got here,
Exactly.
I kept looking at the clock in the morning and I think 3 days in a row, I woke up at 5:53 exactly. And I was like,
Oh,
I've never woken up at this hour in my life unless I like had to for a flight or something. But it
yeah.
was kind of nice.
Oh gosh. It is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Maya and I are both back now in the United States for the summer. How much when do you have to head back to Italy?
Um, July 5th, I fly back. It's pretty short.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go back like 10 days later, but I thought I was going back so
Oh,
early. Oh my
same.
gosh, it's
Like,
crazy.
I don't know. It would be nice to have like another week, but it is what it is. And I'm glad I have the time
Yeah,
I do now. So,
I will say I think that's a big difference. So the NWSL season, which me and Maya both played, you play from like January to November, and then you have like the winter months off. And basically everywhere in Europe, you play from like August,
August.
September to May. And so you get the summer months off. And I will say having summer off is like so much better than having winter
Yeah,
off. I don't know. Do you
I
feel the same
agree.
way?
Just some like summer just growing up and having summers off, it's like it's meant to be that way. And also like
100%.
when even though our season is going through the winter, like we do get a couple weeks off for holidays anyway, so it kind of works out.
Exactly. It works out great.
Yeah.
And I had the best time because I want to hear like a little bit, Maya, too, about where you went. But we finished our season and then I actually stayed in Europe for a little bit and I got to do a backpacking trip with my friend. Well, I guess we didn't actually backpack, but we were camping a little bit and then hiking a lot. And we did that in Switzerland, which was like one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to in my life. And
Mhm.
like seeing the Matterhorn and just so much of that land is untouched and was insane. And then I got to go to Italy, which was also so much
Yeah.
fun because Italian food is incredible. So I was in Florence, Cinque Terre, and Rome, and like literally, it was amazing. It
Yeah.
was so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've done most of my off-season travels in California so far. But it was pretty great to be in Italy and kind of do my traveling even during season. I still have to go to
Yeah.
Rome though. I was supposed to go to Rome and Sardinia with my mom, but we ended up having training, so I still have to hit
Oh,
up those spots.
yeah. You definitely do. Rome is like chaotic. There's so many people, but it's definitely one of the coolest places historically and um, yeah, Italy in general, like the food is just unbeatable.
Mhm.
Although I will say the one thing is that the bread in like I was expecting the bread in Italy to be better. It's just not very good.
Yeah, like I mean, I bet France has better like because they're Italy does the same where like breakfast is like a sweet pastry, and they're like
Yeah.
it's like all right. It's not like blowing my mind though.
Yeah. But the pasta and the pizza
Yeah,
blowing my mind.
yes, for sure. Um,
Okay, well, should we jump into our guest today?
yeah. So today for our June episode, we're having Andi Sullivan on. Andi Sullivan is a professional soccer player. She grew up in Virginia and played soccer at none other than Stanford. We didn't get the pleasure to play alongside her, but we grew up basically idolizing her at sometimes. Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, at Stanford, she won a national championship and also won the Mac Herman Trophy Award, which is given to the best player in women's college soccer. And then, as far as her professional career, she was drafted first overall by the Washington Spirit in 2018 and has been there ever since. I think this is her eighth season with them, and she's also been a part of the U.S. women's national team and represented them in the 2023 World Cup. And her present day, she is currently pregnant, so that's probably her main focus right now. and we really appreciate her taking the time out of her day to um, allow us to ask her questions and pick her brain.
Welcome, Andi. Thank you so, so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Andi, where are you zooming in from?
I am in Virginia, where I live and play.
And that's your home base because your family's from Virginia as well, right?
Yeah, I'm from Virginia originally, about an hour from here. But my family has like moved so many times over, so I have some extended family left around. But yeah, familiar area, but not exactly home.
Home. And this is Andi's off day, so we really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. But we wanted to just start off going kind of back, and can you just tell us a little bit about how soccer started for you? How did you get into it, and what was your relationship with soccer like as a kid?
For sure, I am the youngest of four kids, so I feel like soccer is kind of the first sport that everyone tries. So my siblings were definitely trying out soccer, and I obviously followed them around everywhere and wanted to do everything like my older siblings. But when I started playing or going to their games and stuff, then I was in the yard obsessed and kind of took it over and definitely took it from all them. Definitely was crazier about it from them. So just like from a young age, really enjoyed it. And luckily, my mom and my sister also are, as you guys know my sister, I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
Um, but they stayed in the game and were super supportive and found ways for me to be inspired, pretty much by watching at the time like the WUSA, the WPS. There were teams in those leagues, and then ultimately then WSL. So I knew from a young age, like, oh, I really want to be a professional. I think this would be so cool. So just got introduced to it early and loved it and didn't really look back.
And did you play other sports growing up, or was it always just soccer?
I swam and played basketball, but I hated missing soccer for those sports, like when that sport was its primary season, because that was kind of the deal. And I would
Hmm.
like get so upset that I would cry. So eventually, those other sports stopped. But it was definitely my decision um, to really focus on soccer.
And was because I think a lot of people as kids are like, oh, I want to be a professional soccer player, and they kind of like joke around about it. But then you get to a certain age, and I feel like, at least for me, that was in the back of my mind, but it wasn't something that I would like verbally express because it kind of felt, I don't know, like stupid or silly or overly ambitious. Like, was that something that you were telling people, like, no, this is what I want to do? And like, yeah, how did that go about?
I have a memory from elementary school. It must have been like third or fourth grade where I was like, oh, I want to be a professional soccer player. And other people in my class going, me too, me too. And I remember being like, no, I'm serious. Like, you're
That's
just saying
awesome.
that and I'm being serious. So I think it's definitely something I vocalized and wanted to do. Um, I don't remember the last time they said anything else. So I think it's funny now getting the other question of like, I feel like as pros, they'll be like, oh, if you weren't a professional athlete, what would you do? And I'm like, I have absolutely no idea. I just never really, not never thought about it. Of course, we all think about it because, our playing careers come to an end. And, but yeah, this was always what I wanted to do. And I always said it pretty much.
And was there a moment where you realized, like, wow, I'm getting really close and this is actually super attainable, that kind of stands out in your mind?
I can't say I'm thinking of a moment. I kind of always felt like I was on the right path. Not always, but I felt like I was in a good situation, and as long as I didn't get complacent, that I could keep climbing the ladder. But I also think the
Hmm.
higher of the rungs you get on the ladder, like the more cloudy it can kind of get. And I, I was like involved in youth national teams, and obviously I was getting recruited to go to colleges, and then was having a successful college career. So I felt like I was always kind of just like climbing the right steps.
Hmm.
So I don't have a moment that sticks out of like, oh, I'm close, but um, yeah, I just felt like I was on the right path.
I guess fast forwarding to your Stanford days, I mean, you created an incredible culture at Stanford that we got to be a part of without being fortunate enough to play alongside you. But could you maybe talk a little bit about the philosophy and leadership and how you kind of led the team to success while you were at Stanford?
I think it's funny that you said like created. I wouldn't say that I created it. I feel like I stepped into a place that was magical, and I remember my freshman year just loving it so quickly. I think the senior class that was there when I was a freshman were just absolutely incredible, and um, obviously all the players and all the team. But I remember showing up. I actually showed up late to preseason because of U20 World Cup, and I remember showing up and watching training the first few days and watching and thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna play. Like this team is good, and I'm just not gonna play. And we were playing in games in season like the following week, and but yeah, I just think the a lot of the traditions that were passed down to keep the team close and comfortable and like willing to struggle together and be open and honest with each other. Like I think a lot of the traditions are silly, but I think and they're uncomfortable, but they have purpose and meaning, and I just was enthralled by that because that wasn't something that I ever thought of or created or anything, but I was just so fascinated by it because that's also tradition, and so you just feel about a part of something bigger. And I loved it. I loved the girls so much. So and I love playing. And so I just was so enthralled with the experience that I cared about it a lot and took it really seriously. And I think that kind of carried me through all 4 years that I was there.
It's funny that you said like showing up to preseason and watching practice and just being like, "Oh, am I meant to be here?" I feel like that's kind of a similar experience that like a lot of us as freshmen at Stanford experience. And I just remember the first practice we were playing like 5v5 or small sided, and Maddie Haley just whips out a bike, and I'm like, yeah, I think I need to. I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, but it's so amazing that like there's all these amazing players in one place and everyone kind of grows together and people take you under their wing, and like you said, the culture and tradition is a big part of that.
And how did you navigate like when you had that experience that first day of training? What like tell us a little about a bit about what happened afterwards and how you navigated those doubts.
I don't even remember the timeline necessarily, because I just remember that we went to go play. We were playing UNC and Duke as our openers at UNC, and
Oof.
I think they were both at UNC. But either way, we were going on a away trip, so it was kind of like, all right, you're just like thrown into the fire, which is kind of the best way to go about it, right? You brought up like, oh, we're playing 5v5. Like that's the most perfect way to just get thrown into it, and
Mm.
you see different levels of competitiveness and standard and people holding you to a standard, and you're like, okay, I either fall in line or I don't. So um I think I just remember like you just hop in and you figure it out. And um I do remember towards the end of my freshman preseason, I like had kind of jotted down a lot of thoughts that I was having because I was feeling like, it was a big move for me coming from the East Coast. I went to the U20 World Cup, which was like really stressful and like a little disappointing. And then I was in this new environment. It was going well. And I jotted down all these thoughts and I shared them with the team sports psych who like wasn't even full time. But I was like, hey, this is all the things that I'm thinking about. And I don't know what happened after that, but I think Paul might have called me and was like, hey, don't come to training for a day or two. Just like go chill.
Wow.
And I was kind of, I've never had that
Mhm.
before. And I'm sure, I feel like you guys are probably surprised to hear that coming from Paul. But I don't know if that was, yeah, Dano's advice or something, but it was like, and it was right around the time school was going to start, before school was going to start, because I think was moving into my freshman dorm. And, but I was like, well, what am I supposed to do if I don't go to training? And it was just strange. But that's the only thing I remember about just handling it, because I think in college sometimes, or just in life, when you're busier and things are just going, you can kind of bury a lot of things. But sometimes when you have space or time to think about things, it can be more difficult. So I think just the busyness of preseason, training multiple times a day, again, getting to know the other teams that are there, there's always something to do,
Mhm.
um, especially on like a college campus. So I don't think I don't think it really, I think that helped me at the time.
That's so relatable with the like having time to think part, because it is very busy. You always have something like you always are thinking of what you need to do, but you're never really like, ooh, am I doing okay, or like kind of evaluating your feelings and like your well-being. But
Yeah.
I mean at Stanford that those moments come very very not often. So um yeah, we wanted to ask you a little bit about kind of like your leadership experience at Stanford, and like growing up watching Stanford. I lived 2 hours away, so I was able to come to a lot of games, and I just remember seeing you with your captain's band, and I'm like, I want to be here one day. But yeah, like you were the face of Stanford for me while I was growing up, like at least when you were there. But yeah, did you face any difficulties kind of leading the team? Did you find it kind of easy, given you said like the traditions and just the that Stanford being having a lot of history with a lot of successful players and stuff? Yeah, what were some of maybe the challenges that you faced as a captain?
Sorry, I'm still processing what you just said about me being the face when you were there, because that's just funny to me. Because I think of all the players that I played with that like are the face to me, and
Yeah.
it's funny. Um, no, definitely challenge. I learned a ton about leadership there, and fortunately or unfortunately, like the way you learn is by like making mistakes, and those are hard and they hit you hard. So yeah, plenty of leadership challenges. I think for me, the on-field leadership has kind of always been the easiest,
Hmm.
maybe, because like around training and like just showing up and like giving my best, like leading by example, and then being able to communicate on the field, I think are ways that I could lead. Um, but I think the off the field stuff was where I learned a ton. And again, you talked about like inheriting a lot of traditions, so that was fun. So kind of just thinking about it from a logistics standpoint of like, okay, when are we going to do all these things and how are we going to do them? And then I think I grew a lot in like, we talked about the on the field stuff. I think as a younger player, growing up, you're, and like you think of leadership as like, oh, I'm getting a lot of praise for like working hard and like doing the right things. So
Hmm.
people should want to do things how I'm doing them. Whereas in college, it was like people are coming from different places, and in professional life as well. It's like people are coming from different places and are trying to get different things out of their experience. And like, how can you get everyone on board? Because not everyone feels like, not everyone knew they wanted to be a professional at a young age. You know,
Hmm.
not everyone's going to play after, and they're at this amazing institution, but they're here and they're important, and like trying to navigate that, because I wanted it to be like so professional, which it was. It's like an amazing program. But there's also so much more to it than that. So I think I just learned a lot more about um, like understanding my teammates and them as people, and also communicating a lot with coaches. And I think that is something I also learned a lot about, is kind of like being that bridge between the coaches and the players, and like how do you, when people are frustrated about things, like how do you navigate that. So yeah, just I learned a ton, and then kept learning a ton, and just like it never stops, it's
Yeah.
always changing. So but I think that's, I'm so glad I like went there and had that experience for like, again, the on field lessons and skills and tactics and understanding, and like leading a team on the field, and managing like tournament play or conference play, and all these different things, but also just the leadership piece like off the field. And I think that helps me a ton.
Yeah, I would also, because Maya and I were both captains at Stanford as well. We were captains together. And like I 100% agree. Actually, I was talking to my dad the other day because I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm interviewing Andy." And he was like, "I remember like going and watching Stanford play and you just like staring at Andy." And so I like yeah, 100% agree with Maya. And I think um like we had a really hard time with that too because at Stanford you have people that are like, "Oh, I'm here though to like get a degree and go on and do something that's not soccer, but like I also really care about soccer, and balancing that and navigating that is really difficult." And then you continued on into the NWSL and being a leader and a captain on a team where like you have now 16-year-olds, like everyone does want to be a professional soccer player, but people are coming into this environment at like very different stages of life and some sort of a similar priority and value, but also very different. Like, how do you navigate that now in this role as a captain and leader?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, because I think at Stanford it was almost easier because, again, you're in the same environment, you have this like a similar age range. You obviously have people who are ambitious in the classroom, and on the field, and so it was difficult then. Obviously, it gets even more difficult when you enter the professional environment. But it gets difficult and easier at the same time. I don't know. You just it is. I don't even know if you can compare them, but yeah, your example of like, oh, you have players who are 16 or and in their 30s. I'm not in my 30s yet, but I will be soon. But we have players in their 30s, and like just yeah, different interests, different countries, different languages,
Hmm.
all this stuff. Um, and I think I used to be a lot more rigid, and which is funny because my teammates might laugh when they hear that. They're like, "You could be more rigid than you are now." But I mean, at Stanford, I was like pretty rigid and pretty intense, and I still am very intense, but I think I'm a lot more like curious and interested in like how do we make this work for the team. And I think I've been on the same team. This is my 8th season here, but no team year to year has been like remotely close. And so I think
Hmm.
that's the other thing that I've learned is like, well, you can't really make any like rules to leadership, because what's the environment, what's the context, and just kind of constantly, that's how I view it now, is like looking around and being like, okay, what does the group need? And sometimes I'm like, well, this is what I think the group needs, like let me check that, let me run that down every a couple different people who have different perspectives and see like what they think about that. And sometimes you hit it on the head and people are like, yeah, we really need that, and other times people are like, no, you're off. And so just being able to constantly kind of be like, what does the team need, what does the team need, and seeing how you can help facilitate that. I think also I used to kind of want to do everything, like I'm the leader, I'm gonna facilitate what the team needs, and it's like, no, that might not be your strength in this moment. Like if you if the team needs to be guided somewhere, like maybe you can nudge somebody for them to do it because that's their strength.
Mhm.
Or like, yeah, just more delegation, more listening, more understanding. And again, I'm not perfect at it. I sometimes still get caught up in my old ways and like want to do everything or want things to be done my way, but having to remind myself like that's not my job, not my role.
And How do you balance, because you kind of just touched in there, like what constantly thinking about what does the team need, but also you as an individual need things, and like in order for you to lead at your best, you have to feel good. And so how do you kind of navigate the balance between like how can I give, but also how can I be built up and make sure that I'm in a position to lead?
That's a good question. I think that just establishing good habits and good routines that help put me in the mindset um, to train and play, or to be in a good mental space to show up consistently,
Mm-hmm.
um, has helped me a lot, because it's cyclical, right? Like if the team is in a good spot, then I can like focus more on myself. And if I'm in a good spot, then I can help the team be in a better spot. And it just like, because I'm happiest like when the team is doing well, when like when training is good, when we're performing well, when we're winning games, when things are competitive, like that helps push me, and it makes me happy. Like I can't be angry and I can't blame the environment like it. So if I can help, does that make sense?
Yeah.
I
Yes,
hope I'm
yes.
rambling. Um, so I think just kind of daily establishing habits of, okay, these are some things that I need to do. And also when I'm not feeling great, just again, being able to delegate or say that I'm not feeling great. And that doesn't mean it can just be a day. It doesn't have to be an extended period. And I think giving myself some more grace in those days of being like, you know what, it wasn't a great, like sometimes you have to like, yeah, shift, like, okay, I need to get
Yeah.
myself right. Um, because it's also, you don't want to be the leader that's like telling other people what to do
Hmm.
and then you're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Hate
Yeah.
those ones. Well, Andy, you mentioned this is, you said your eighth season with the Spirit. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, Sierra and I got to start off our professional careers playing for our hometown teams as well. And yeah, what has it been like representing kind of where you're from, and does that come like do you feel very proud to do that, and do you feel like if you were to play somewhere else you wouldn't have that same feeling?
Mm, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that too much. But yeah, originally because I was, now there's no more draft, but I was drafted here. You guys were both drafted. You guys had drafts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I was drafted here, and I wasn't like super pumped about coming here, uh, because I really had enjoyed going to Stanford and going somewhere completely new,
Mm-hmm.
and going somewhere and like not knowing anybody and just kind of doing something new. So I wasn't pumped about that, and the Spirit wasn't like the best team at the time. Um, so at first I wasn't excited, but I remember pulling up to one of our first games, and that was when the team played at the Maryland Soccerplex, which I don't know if you guys have ever been to, but that used to be like where I would train with my club team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also where I watched games, you know, as a fan. And I remember pulling into the like back and seeing a bunch of girls like in their club jerseys tailgating in the parking lot. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was literally me. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was that kid in that team going with my friends watching the game. So I think that was kind of a full circle moment. And I think you asked if I would have that experience on another team, like maybe I would still connect with that concept. But the fact that I'm like, I know the name of that club and I know where it is and I know
Mm-hmm.
coaches who coach there, like things like that. And so still being able to have that now is really fun. Like I'll go to games and maybe afterwards I'll be signing something and they're like, "Oh, I go to your high school," or "I know this coach that you know," or "I know your sister," or "I'm your aunt's neighbor." Like things like that um, are really really fun. And obviously, like you guys know, the soccer world is so small, so maybe in other markets I'd have one-offs like that, but to have that kind of all the time, it does make me feel really connected. And it does give me a lot of like inspiration, because I think about um how I went to games as a kid and like knew what I wanted to do and be. And not that every, you know, young girl there or young person there or any grown person there like wants to be a professional soccer player, but if they have something that they're striving for, I want them to take like inspiration from that, being like, oh, like Andy strove for this and like was able to do it. And like that they feel connected to me too. I really enjoy
Mhm.
that because maybe they have like strength of weak ties to me somehow through the DMV community. And I do really, really enjoy that. But I also want to be open minded that like you can make those connections across the world, as I'm sure you guys are experiencing. Like you're playing in other places, and I have teammates who are from like so many different countries and how
Mhm.
fans interact with them. And so um, I think I could have that experience in other places. I just have never, I haven't done it yet.
Mhm. Are you
And
like open to playing in a different city or different state or country, or are you kind of happy where you're at, especially since you're starting a family, you know?
Yeah, I love it here. And I think it would be extremely difficult to picture myself playing for another NWSL club. I
Mhm.
think it would be really hard.
Yeah.
But also like life changes and you have to be open to all the possibilities.
Mhm.
So but yeah, like my husband and I are pretty happy here. We like the area. Like we could see ourselves here for a long time. For me it was, I've had opportunities to go to other teams and other countries, and I think now that Michelle Kang took over and like the progress she's made in a short period of time, there was there were opportunities, and I was like, well, I just put up with a lot of stuff for years and like helped get her in charge basically,
Mhm.
and like I want to see it be good.
mhm.
And so I think that's kept me here, and I'm really glad that I haven't left. Um Even though it just continues to be whirlwind after whirlwind, but I keep feeling like, oh, this is the place to be. Like it's gonna keep getting better and better and
Mhm.
better. So we'll see what happens. But also I'm be curious to hear more about your guys' experiences. Obviously, we don't have to talk about it now, but it's just soccer is also such a beautiful opportunity to go see different parts of the world and do different things and meet new people. And I think if I looked back on my career and I hadn't used that as a tool, I think I would be bummed. But I also like love the idea of playing for one team for my career. So
Mhm.
I've definitely considered it. I think about it, but I have no idea where the world will take me. And there's no at this point, like Sierra said, like starting a family, like who knows how that will shift my perspective, and what I'll be looking for in a month, in a year.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. I feel like if this profession teaches you anything, it teaches you that you can be adaptable and you really can't plan for the future because as you said, like things change so much and I mean, it is really cool that you've been at the Spirit for so long because you've like been with them as they're playing in, like random stadiums to Audi Field, like with not many resources to now one of the most equipped NWSL teams in terms of resources and staff. So I think that's really cool that you've been able to be on that journey and rare for the NWSL as well to be at a team for so long.
Yeah.
But I wanted to transition a little bit to talking about your experience playing with the U.S. national team because like you said, you kind of always felt like you were on a stepping stone and like the path in the right direction. And you like played with the youth national team, like you always kind of were on the track to go play with the full national team. And then obviously you like, one of the biggest honors to go to the World Cup, represent the U.S. women's national team, did really well. Obviously, like the team, it was a really tough time to be. There's so much pressure on you guys, and then a new coach comes in, and you're kind of like out of the fold, and it's not necessarily in your control. And I think that's something that we're really interested in talking about on this podcast. It's like how do you deal with those disappointments and like those setbacks. So can you talk a little bit about, yeah, like what kind of went on in your mind and how you dealt with that experience, both like the honor of playing for the national team and then also kind of dealing with, oh, all of a sudden I'm not really in the mix anymore.
Yeah, it's so hard. We've been talking
Yeah.
about it for a long time. And it's something I'm sure you guys have had this like realization in your like mental health journeys. It's like you don't ever fully have it. Like you think you're like, oh, I'm doing really well, I've got this, and then like life throws something at you, and you're like, just kidding, I
Hmm.
actually don't know anything about any of it. So it's funny. It is really hard. But yeah, journey has been with the national team has been very up and down, very in and out. And but even it was like that from the get go. Like I got called in, had a really great experience my first two camps. Then I tore my ACL, and then came back and felt like I was kind of thrown in a little before I felt like I was really in form. But obviously, like you want to be there, and like part of being in form is being around there.
Mm-hmm.
And then had a really terrible rookie season. So was missed the 2019. Well, that was 2018. So yeah, had a bad rookie season. Was starting to play much better in the second year, but still like didn't have enough time to make the 19 World Cup. So I was cut from that roster. But I was like in a lot of camps. So I was always like, not always. I was often there,
Mm-hmm.
and I was always like was there, but I was there as a practice player, which again is still like an incredible opportunity, and
Hmm.
you learn a lot, and it's an incredible environment to be a part of. But it's also very emotionally exhausting because it's like you're just like chasing this carrot that someone's just like dangling in front of you.
Hmm.
And you want the carrot really bad, really badly. So that hit me hard, but continued to like, and then the thing with coaches is like the coaches that call you in are also the coaches that cut you, and just being able to like manage that emotionally, because I feel like that's such a different experience than what I've had like compared to what I had thought about like Paul. Like Paul was my college coach, for 4 years, very
Hmm.
stable. I knew what to expect from him basically. And then you go to this other experience where it's like, do you want me around? Do you not
Yeah.
want me around? And just like it's just a lot of questioning all the time. Um so yeah, but honestly, all that stress of those from pretty much like seasons 18, 19, and 20 is like what kind of inspired me to like take better care of my mental health, because basically I'd be doing well and feeling good, or and then I would just start not feeling great, and I would basically wait till I was the point of like, kind of like breaking down, having a quick little breakdown, before I would like ask for support and ask for help. And obviously it was great that then when I would get to those points, I'd have somebody to talk to, or um, help get me back on track or whatever. But it was like we do so much as athletes, like proactively to prepare and to maintain. And so
Hmm.
um, I think it was 2021 where I started to speak to a sports psych, and he was like, you, when you are fit, you don't just like stop training. Like once you're saying like, oh, I'm fit, you don't just stop training. You maintain your fitness and you improve it. And like your mental fitness and is the same as your physical fitness. Like you have to give it the care
Mm-hmm.
and the like consistency in order to really rely on it when you need it. And that was a really helpful perspective. So through the stress of all the national team stuff, basically started to kind of pay more attention to like we talked about like the habits and the things that just like make you feel better consistently. And then yeah, kind of got back into the national team a little bit, and eventually went to the World Cup, which was like a huge accomplishment, but it was a really disappointing tournament for our country. So it was really, really hard to enjoy. Like I can't say that like I enjoyed making the team and being around the team, obviously, but it was really stressful environment. And like you said, just a lot of pressure and not living up to the expectation of the team. And it was hard because people will, and I still struggle with it now because like I have to be like, okay, I like accomplished a dream, but at the same time I didn't accomplish a
Mm-hmm.
dream because we didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and people will be like, oh, well, you played every minute at the World Cup. Like, that's such an accomplishment. I'm like, yeah, we played every minute and we lost.
Mm-hmm.
So, how much of that is on me? A lot. and things like that. So it's funny, like even when people are trying to like compliment you, it is like you're like smiling and like haha, but in your head it hurts and it
Mm-hmm.
hurts still. Um, and it was also unfortunate because throughout the tournament, like the last game that we played in the tournament, I actually felt like I was figuring it out. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I have this. And I can like continue to grow in this. Like I'm basically like believing that I belonged there at that
Mm-hmm.
level and had the ability to help the country and the team at that level. And then new coach comes in and sees things differently. And I it's tough. And then right when I was feeling like I was starting to play better again last year, tear my ACL, and yeah, so I was like, oh, I could get back there,
Mm-hmm.
and then get injured. But then shortly after, I found out I was pregnant, so it's also all good. But yeah, it's tough because I still really believe in myself and want to get back there. And at the same time, like don't want to be delusional for like dreaming of that. Um, so yeah, it's something that I think about all the time.
Um, no, yeah, I think that's so fair, and um, it's such a hard, like you said, it's so hard to balance that. Like, yes, this was a dream come true, but also there's so much pressure. I mean, even from the outside looking in, I'm like, the pressure on the US women's national team anytime they enter into anything is to win. And if you don't do that, it's considered a failure, even though you can personally like go in, play every single minute, like accomplish a massive dream of yours. Um, so yeah, it's really difficult. And I think something that I mean, I'm very curious to know, but I'm sure a bunch of people listening are curious is like what you've talked a little bit about like really taking care of your mental health and like in these times leaning into that and being mentally fit, not just physically fit. Like what are specific things that you do um that you feel like are kind of like training your mental fitness, so to speak?
Yeah. Um, I mean, I think to start off with the basics of just like sleeping, hydrating, eating well, like those
Mm-hmm.
um, need to be the pillars for everything, right? Because if you're not doing those things, it will be really hard for anything else to really take shape. Um, and then I used a lot of meditation for a pretty long time. I'm not on my meditation game right now, but that's okay. Our needs shift. But no, for probably like I was meditating. I was using an app to help me meditate, and I did that every day. And that was kind of sports focused and performance focused. So that was very, very helpful for soccer and just helped me kind of cultivate again a consistent mindset and tools to fall back to on the time. And then smaller things were like a little gratitude journal. So it's just like three things you're grateful for, three things that would make the day great. So like kind of like goals or tasks that you wanted to just do, and one affirmation. So I'd do that. I'd meditate. I'd write three things, three, three, one, really quickly, and those every day, just like kind of doing that with my morning coffee, obviously. Um,
Necessity.
just yes, always can't skip it. Those kind of help start my day, and then those and then on top of that, just like having a good support system, like
Mm-hmm.
that's before probably the meditation and stuff is, especially like my husband and my dog. It sounds so lame to say my dog, but just being able to like go on a walk and do things
Yeah.
like that, like they sound so simple. And I think the thing that people probably maybe are resistant to, they're like, I went on a walk, it didn't work. And you're like, well, it's not gonna like solve all your problems immediately. But if you walk like every day, or you walk
Mm-hmm.
as a tool to like get you back to more neutral or
Mm-hmm.
something, um, the more you do it, the more you can like, again, the more you do it, the more you can rely on it. And also the more tools you have, the better, right? And you start to learn
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, when I'm feeling this way, like this is kind of how I can help myself. So yeah, quality time with, but yeah, obviously also speaking to professionals, whether that's sports psych or therapist or whatever, doing that, once a week, once a month, um, whenever possible, whenever you also feel like you really need to. Those are another other things that I did or do to keep me sane.
Yeah.
um, what else? Just yeah, eat a lot of desserts. That one I have to kind of
I
rein
love
in
that.
check. But I don't know, just finding like your little things that help you come back. And I would also say that sometimes the things like I don't I don't enjoy meeting with my sports psych. I don't enjoy going to meet with my therapist. It's not like when I go that it's like, oh, it was so fun, it was so great, and I feel so much
Mm-hmm.
better. It's like work, it's training, it's like running fitness tests. It's like I don't really want to run, but I know that if I want to have what I want, I need to go through this
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's part of it too. Again, a part of the reason why people are resistant. It's like you probably don't want to go on a walk, but if you go on a walk, you'll feel better after.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. So because I think there's a lot around mental health where people are like, yeah, you need to like take care of yourself, but taking care of yourself isn't always it's not always a luxury.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually demanding.
Mm-hmm.
It's work. And I think just reiterating that point of a lot of times people will try something and they'll be like, oh, well, I didn't like that or it didn't work right away. So I'm going to, that it doesn't work then.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. Is like one time isn't going to fix everything. You have to keep going back. And I think that, especially for athletes, kind of relating it to like getting fit, like you can't just go on one run and then expect to be able to pass the beep test
Yeah.
or whatever, like be able to play in a 90-minute game. Like you have to keep coming back to it, and it's not always fun, but it's necessary. So yeah, I really like that.
Okay, going into our last question, which may be the most pressing topic and what's consuming your life a lot of these recent days, but you're obviously pregnant. You said you're at 36 weeks now. And yeah, that's like starting a family and getting pregnant as a female athlete is always something that females obviously have to think about and males don't, and it's so hard. Like the timing of it all is a challenge in itself. So yeah, maybe can you talk us through maybe how this all came about? Was it a surprise? Was it planned? And yeah, this decision to start a family.
For sure. Yeah, I think like you said, it's kind of not easy for women because it comes at a, a cost, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously there are costs to any partner involved, but just yeah, not being able to play and train is hard. But no, I my husband and I have been married for 5 years, more than 5 years. Sorry, I needed to slow down, do that math. And we like went into marriage knowing that we wanted to like have kids together and raise family and be parents and all that good stuff. And kind of as we were going through life, we were like, okay, this is kind of a vague plan that we have. And it was, okay, Andy's going to try and make the World Cup. She's going to try to make the Olympics. And then after that, we'll try to start having a family. And so like we talked about, I got to make the World Cup. I did not make the Olympics, but I really wanted to, really tried to, but wasn't there. And then we kind of started trying for kids after that point, after it looked like it wasn't, going to go that way with the Olympics. And then I feel like for women and young women, there's so much like, don't get pregnant, don't get pregnant, don't get pregnant. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I want to get pregnant. And there's so much that you learn in that time period. And I feel like we could totally like restructure how we just learn about female health and
Yeah.
yeah, menstrual health, fertility, all of that stuff. So yeah, like was timing was crazy. Basically, I just like I told you guys, I got injured. Took a pregnancy test the morning of the surgery. It was negative, and then took one again a little bit later, and it was positive. So like,
Wow.
just kind of crazy. And sometimes like you wonder like, okay, did this injury like force me to really slow down and just like let things cook in there? I don't know. But yeah, it's really helped me be away from the game, especially dealing with the knee injury because like I'm 8 months post-op. So normally at 8 months post-op you would be like close to returning.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm not close to returning. But it was kind of helpful to be out 2 times over and just really has helped me slow down. But yeah, I'm still really excited to come back and play. And I think that is going to be really difficult, but I'm excited for that. And I think there also have been so many other women that I've also been fortunate enough to like be actually around and see them do it to show me that it's possible. And have again a tremendously supportive partner. And yeah, I don't know if you guys have any other follow-up questions on that, but that's kind of the gist.
I mean, I think it's so interesting what you said because it's like, yeah, I think growing up, I was always like, oh, okay, I want to have a career and then I want to have kids because you didn't see anyone really doing it at the same time. And now it's rare, but you are seeing it and you're seeing that people can make it work. And I think your situation is, like you said, even more complex because you're coming back from an injury and now a pregnancy on top of that. Like, yeah, what are you, as you're kind of thinking about, obviously you have to go through labor and do all that, but like as you're thinking about returning to play, what's kind of your mindset? How are you thinking about that? Not to stress you out.
Yeah, no, I'm to be honest, I'm terrified. Terrified of labor and delivery for sure. And I think again, I'm sure as you know, if like coming back from any injury is stressful and it's difficult, and usually there are hiccups, and that would be the case if I were just coming back from an ACL, and that would be the case if I were just coming back from pregnancy. So to have two on top of it, like two together, it's very scary. But I feel confident in my ability to like communicate how I'm feeling and what's going on, and communicate with the people that are helping me. And like that's all you can do. Like, yeah, it's gonna be hard. No duh. If it were easy, then everyone would be doing it. So I mean, it doesn't make it any less scary, but like you just have to call it what it is. Like it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be scary. And then like you said, Sierra, earlier, like soccer teaches you that you're like resilient and adaptable. And so that's how I feel when I look back on things on my career, is like, oh, I always figure it out. Like even in the moment when it doesn't feels awful, or like how am I going to do this, or I'm not where I want to be, whatever. It's like you always come out on the other side of that somehow or another. And so I just feel like we'll see how it goes. And I'll tackle things like, 1 minute at a time. And again, I know what my ultimate goals are, and let those be kind of like the light, and take steps towards them one day at a time.
Well, I think that's a great spot to end. Thank you. We've taken up way too much of your time,
Yeah,
especially
right.
considering the fact that you literally could going to the hospital any minute
Going to
now.
labor.
um, but no, seriously, thank you so much because I think, first of all, just for being so open. And I think, Maya and I have watched you and you've been an inspiration to us for so long. And now going through like national team ups and downs and building a family and a career, like you're inspiring so many young women in this field. And so, yeah, thank you for that. And we will be following and good luck with this next phase of your life and building a family. It's very exciting.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
thank
Yeah,
you, Andy.
it's funny you guys saying like, because I feel that kinship towards especially like any Stanford alum players, where I'm like, oh, again, we didn't play together, but I'm like, oh, I know people who played with you, and like just want your ultimate success, and obviously follow where you guys are up to and everything. So rooting for you guys as well,
Thank
and
you.
keep doing your thing. And I'm always around if you want to yap.
Yeah, well, thank you. We really appreciate it. And yeah, seriously, like I know you have so much going on right now, so we are very grateful you took time for us.